It is May 3rd, 2017, and for this edition of Connect to Congress, we connect with Representative Darin LaHood of Illinois' 18th District. Hello, Congressman LaHood.
Great to be with you and your viewers today.
I want to start off talking to you about a recent town hall meeting you held in Washington, Illinois. What are voters here in Central Illinois telling you that are important to them?
I did hold a town hall back in my district a couple weeks ago, and it's something that I promised to do when I first got elected, and it's something that I did as a state senator. But I think having a town hall is a good way to interact with your constituents. We had about 800 people show up at our town hall, and it was a very good discussion, lively discussion on lots of issues. And there's big challenges in our country right now. How do you deal with Syria? How do you deal with North Korea? We have a new administration in place. Tax reform is very important on the domestic side. Infrastructure. How do we get the economy going? You know, how do we support many of our parochial interests in the district, our farmers, our companies, and our businesses? So the town hall was really a good opportunity for me to engage with my constituents, have a discussion on the important issues that are going on in Washington, D.C., hear from them firsthand. And the other part of this is you have to have thick skin in this job, and that means you have to take some criticism sometime, and that was part of the town hall. But I thought overall it was a very, very good opportunity and discussion with my constituents, and you know, I think they got a lot out of it also.
Congressman, this is shaping up to be another week where Republicans could go home for a short recess without putting a repeal and replace bill for the Affordable Care Act on the House floor, despite a deal being struck with the Freedom Caucus. Why do you believe this compromise still may not be good enough to move forward for repeal and replace?
Well, it's a little bit frustrating from my perspective. We have to fix the health care system. In my district, premiums have gone up an average of 55%. People are very frustrated with the high cost of health care. Also, deductibles have gone way up. So we have to fix the system. I was not in Congress when Obamacare was passed, but having gotten to Congress a year and a half ago, I understand that we have to change and reform the system. There are a number of things that we ought to look at. What have worked in Obamacare, pre-existing conditions, I think is a good provision we need to keep in there. Not discriminating against pre-existing conditions has to be a provision in whatever we do with healthcare. Being able to keep your children on your parents' healthcare until 26 is a good provision. But on the other side of it, we have to figure out how we bring the private sector in. The competitive system, the insurance market has to be more competitive. In my district, I have 19 counties. In many of those 19 counties, there is only one healthcare provider. That's not what the ACA was envisioned to provide way back when. You have to have options. You have to have an opportunity for people to look at different healthcare options. We don't have that now. So I'm supportive of a healthcare system that brings down costs, provides more opportunities. I think we can do that in Congress, but we're going to have the fortitude. We're going to have to work together to get that done.
Also, negotiators have agreed to a $1 trillion omnibus bill to keep the government funded through September, which hits the floor for a vote today. How do you support this measure?
I have real concerns about the bill. I think it spends way too much money. We're $20 trillion in debt in this country, and in a lot of ways this adds to the continuing debt. You know, it still continues to fund Planned Parenthood, which I have concerns about. And again, it doesn't do anything about sanctuary cities, doesn't do anything about you know, protecting our southern border as much as I would like. So there's a number of things in there that I have real concerns about. And so I'm going to evaluate it before I have to take a vote on it. But when we continue to add to the debt without growing the economy, that is of real concern.
I also want to talk to you for a second about North Korea. The leader there, Kim Jong-un, continues to send threats against the U.S., hinting at a nuclear war. How worried are you about North Korea's nuclear capabilities and whether they have the ability to hit the U.S. West Coast with a missile? And do you believe the Trump administration is doing the right thing, flexing U.S. military might at North Koreans?
This is a situation we have to be very, very delicate about and very careful about. Remember, within 60 miles of the DMZ zone, you have Seoul, South Korea, but you have a population of upwards to 20 million people that are within that zone there. And North Korea has a huge army that is positioned along the North Korea side. So this is not like other places around the world, say in Libya or Yemen or Syria, where you kind of have lawless states. You have you know, a real chance here to you know, lose a lot of lives if war breaks out. So this is a different situation. But I give the president a lot of credit. I think his team around him, his military and national security team, whether it's General Mattis at the Department of Defense, Mike Pompeo at the CIA director, General McMaster, who's our national security advisor. I think they're a good team, and I think they're working well diplomatically, because that has to be a big part of this too, is how we put pressure on China to force the North Koreans to stop doing what they're doing. But there is a rogue dictator in North Korea. There is no doubt about that, and we have to be very, very careful. I think the big issue will be if they do something provocative to one of our ships or our submarines, or send a missile towards the United States, what action we will have to take them. But we have to be very, very careful, because there are a lot of lives at risk in South Korea in particular. But I think all options have to be on the table. I have a lot of faith in our military and our intelligence services. We have the best in the world. And I think the president is surrounded by those type of people. But I give the president also credit for pushing the Chinese as much as they have already. When they had their summit down in Florida, I think a lot of good came out of that. And you're already seeing the Chinese pushing the North Koreans, not allowing them the amount of coal that they need to fuel their country, cutting off some of their food supplies. We have to get their attention. My thought would be to resolve this diplomatically, and that should be our goal.
All right, as always, good to see you, Congressman LaHood. We appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you.